I have tested many great shifters and handbrakes over the years, some with complex mechanisms, some with tons of adjustments, and I loved most of those for different reasons, but the last combo from SG has unbelievable value right now on the market. €350 for one of my personal favorite in terms of engaging feeling sequential shifter, 100 kg load cell based handbrake plus mounting plate is absolutely insane value, but let's check why. Starting with the necessary disclaimer, SG has sent those units for test and review purposes without any conditions, and as I will do my best to be as objective as possible. Let's start with the obvious differences from the previous combo. On the shifter itself, the engaging mechanism haven't changed, which is a good thing because, as I've said before, it's still one of my personal favorite. Based on spring-loaded ball bearing popping in and out from this little hole is as simple and as durable it can get, creating natural mechanical gear engagement with progressive tension before the initial click. The overall resistance is at around 9 kg, but is possible some adjustment, which is not suggested from SG as it is calibrated from Stefan itself for optimal experience. The overall resistance is at around 9 kg, but is possible some adjustment, which is not suggested from SG as it is calibrated from Stefan itself for optimal experience. In terms of noise, is clicky but acceptable for shifter and quieter than Simagic and VNM, which has their mechanism in the box. Of course, be aware that as any other shifter on the market with proper engagement, noise will be part of the game and something we have to accept. That being said, in the mechanical department, nothing changed and there is positive feedback from many users in every SG shifter review. Moving to the obvious difference, from the V2 package, the design is inspired from the Skoda Rally 2 car, and instead of lever for neutral input, we have button on top. That is of course mappable to whatever we wish and is cool little feature taken from the real car. The handle on the top is also smooth without grooves we saw in the previous model. Everything made from aluminum except the bolts and the ball bearings, and considering I smashed the V1 for years and is attached to my friend Rick for another one without single issue remaining as engaging as on day one, even with the old micro switches, having magnetic sensors in this one, I guess this will last for a very long time. So, if you are looking for sequential shifter only, this model costs €200 and in my opinion being way cheaper than some of the good models out there is absolutely top value for the price. I won't say it's any better than another way down model which has crazy adjustability with insane engagement and probably one of my most favorite, but being 30% cheaper, the SG is just better value. Great feeling, simple durable mechanism made of aluminum inspired from real world beautiful kit for more than reasonable price, absolutely zero complaints here. It looks like my experience matched with users' comments on the net, but if some of you had any problems in the past, don't hesitate to leave comment in the section below. That being said, if you are looking for a combo, there are two options. The V2 handbrake, which is okay, and with it plus the mounting plate will cost overall €300, or for 350 with the new LC 100 kg model. That new handbrake on itself costs €150 and it is load cell spring based, made of solid aluminum body. It is 38 cm tall and set to around 20 to 25 kg overall resistance on the very top. I guess with the time we may see different spring kits for more or less resistance, but for now it is set on the light side, at least for my personal taste. As I've said, the load cell is up to 100 kg, so it won't be that hard to achieve more with different springs set. It is definitely a solid build with zero tolerance on the access points, just like the shifter. Choices are also between brushed silver or black, and I'm happy to see that exposed low cell is coated in black, which gives clean look to the black kit I have here. Modulating the input is possible, and now it doesn't feel like instant input like in the very first model, and the progressiveness in action is way more natural. Of course, I can't compare this to the SRP H-brake, which is the most realistic I ever felt in sim use with all the crazy adjustments, but costs as much as the entire SG combo. And if money are not a question, it's definitely the best choice, period. But the ultimate goal here is hammer-like quality for reasonable cost to do the job, and I guess it perfectly succeeds in that. It is comfortable in use, rock solid build for enthusiasts who don't want to go in depth. As a combo comes with that mounting plate, which gives natural angle to the handbrake toward the driver body, and the entire kit is with single USB. If you already have one of those SG shifters and want to pair it with that new model H-brake, make sure to pick that new mounting plate to fit that new size properly. Also mounted with just 2 bolts on the rig frame creates tiny flex, which in use doesn't bother me at all, but is there if that's concerned. So that was quite easy and pleasant review process for me, as the SG shifter mechanism has been proven over the years as very rigid and engaging, have been one of my favorite anyway, which is not a secret. Aesthetically the changes are positive, as it mimics some real shifters, and the price has dropped even after the inflation the last few years. That new handbrake have potential in the future with some spring kit and is on completely different level than the V2 model. It is nothing insane, but it does the job and doesn't break the bank account. As a combo for 350 is by far the best value right now on the market, beating even its own predecessor despite the inflation without any sacrifices in quality. Is there something to complain about? I don't think so. I was happy before and even happier now. Great direction from SG, that's for sure. I'm not saying it's the best shifter, but still one of my favorite in use, and the price is absolutely unbeatable right now. If you are looking for some engaging driving experience slamming shifters up and down, check the market around and see if something can beat the value of this kit. Let's have some fun.